Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to That's Not Proper, and I'm your host, Corey Asuncion. I just want to thank absolutely everyone who has been listening in with me for the past few months here since the end of September. It was like the last week of September. We are finishing out the very first season, and it has been a crazy, enjoyable, fun experience. But in addition to that, it's been a little bit chaotic. I am very new to all of this, and so it was a huge learning experience for me as well. And everyone has been so fabulous and so patient and listening still, even when there was probably sound errors and all of that kind of stuff. But I truly, truly, truly appreciate everybody listening in. It has been a really great experience, and I am looking forward now to season 2, which should be starting somewhere around the middle of January. And in that, I've got a lot of new stuff that I'm hoping to bring forward, and some changes and some interviews, and I'm really hoping for a really exciting new season. In addition to that, if anyone follows me on Instagram, especially Instagram, they will know that I have a very bizarre love of socks, specifically inappropriate socks that are not proper. And so I have purchased some socks to give away. I've got some men's socks and I've got some women's socks, and I'm going to be giving those away to a listener. So be sure to head on over to Instagram and follow at That's Not Proper, and keep an eye out for that giveaway, because I'm going to be doing that here within the next week or so. And I'm super excited to give away some socks that I absolutely love. In fact, I have a few pairs of those so we can be matching. Anyhow, thank you again to all my listeners for listening in and bearing with me through this first season. And I'm super excited and looking forward to season 2. Recently, my daughter said to me, she text messaged me or messaged me on Facebook, I think it was, and she said, "When do I regain sanity, or at what age do I regain sanity?" And I shared this with her father, and we laughed pretty hard. And then I told her, "Oh, you don't regain sanity. You begin to embrace the insanity." So my daughter just gave birth to her 4th child, her 4th boy. And I don't know about everybody else's experiences with sons. I have 4 sons also and 3 daughters. But I can tell you with my sons, and my personal experience it was mayhem. It was absolute mayhem. I used to refer to them as tiny little caged animals, especially in the fall and winter when it was colder and rainy and they couldn't really get outside to run around. And I was a stay-at-home mom, so they were always with me. And it literally was like bouncing off the walls, bouncing off, guns and wrestling and fighting and chucking toys. And my daughters just really never did anything like that, not to the same degree that my sons did. And my grandsons, especially the younger 2, not the newborn, but the other one, the 4-year-old and the 1-year-old, they're really at that level. The older one's starting to phase out of that because he's 6 years old now. But the chaos of being a working mom and coming home and having 4 sons and them desiring all of your attention, and then just having given birth, and she worked 3 days prior to giving birth. Yeah, she was working up to 3 days prior to giving birth. It was just a lot on a mom. I don't care what age you are and what money you've got and what experience you have. It's still a lot. And so she wanted to find out if she was going to get her sanity back. And I laughed and said, no, that's not coming back. You just embrace it. Embrace the insanity. It becomes a lot more enjoyable if you think, okay, I'm just going to embrace this craziness because I can't get rid of it, so let's just embrace it. The other thing I've noticed with boys, and I've told her this, at least, again, my experience with boys, is with little boys, there is mayhem and craziness and running and jumping and wrestling and all that kind of stuff, but it only lasts for a period of time, and then they mellow out. And then they're, there's no drama, and they're kind of calm, cool, and collected, and yeah, they might, not want to give mom too much info, but for the most part, to me, boys are, in a sense, a little bit, I want to say easier. I don't know if that's the right word, but easier for me than daughters were, especially once you hit the teen years. About 6 or 7 years ago, I started writing a blog, and I am not a writer. It was more of a therapeutic form of like an outlet in a sense. But at that time, I had begun to experience the feeling of no longer being needed as a mom. And what I mean by that is especially when you have as many children as I had, a large portion of my life was spent being needed in every way imaginable, every moment imaginable, every day imaginable. I was needed. In addition to that, we homeschooled our children. And so I didn't have that period of time where they were away or I was at a job. So there really wasn't a moment of reprieve. We really didn't go out even. Just the way that we opted to pretty much take our kids with us absolutely everywhere. And I honestly don't regret that, but it did mean that there was a need of me 24/7 and their father as well. But because he did go to work, the need was placed a little bit more on me during the day. And so I had gotten to a point about 5 or 6 years ago where I was seeing that need was being lifted. And there's points when you're a mom where you're thinking, is this ever going to end? Is this ever going to get easier? And you're kind of hoping for that ease. And then when there's some relief, and I put that in finger quotes, it's a very strange feeling. And it's borderline terrifying because you don't even really know what to do with yourself anymore. And I began to experience that. And so because I was still at home and there were still children at home and there were still children being educated by myself and their father, I wasn't necessarily not needed anymore, but I was needed in a different way where I saw, you know what, they don't necessarily need me to, change their diapers and wipe their butts and follow them around 24/7. It was a weird thing. And so I didn't necessarily know how to handle that. And it terrified me because there was an emotional feeling like I'm not needed anymore. And it kind of you take a hit, like I'm not needed, I'm not wanted. Am I worthy? What am I going to do with myself now? And that was a really big struggle for me. And so I began this blog, and it was on WordPress. And I just started writing about cooking and my children and experiences and diabetes and how we manage that. And one thing that I had written about was this poem that I had come across. And this poem was titled The Girl I Used to Be. And it was written by Rowena K. Lewis. Because of copyright issues, I cannot read the entire poem, but I will be posting it up on social media. And the gist of the poem is a woman looking at herself in the mirror, remembering the girl she used to be, and seeing her life now with children and the chaos and the exhaustion, and thinking, this is not what I intended. What happened to that girl I used to be? And she reflects upon what she thought it would be and what it actually is. And she says in one portion, and my mansion of stately height is love, and the only career I know. And as I spoke to my shadowy guest, she smiled through her tears at me, and I saw that the woman that I am now pleased that girl that I used to be. And when you're a mom, there are periods of time where you pray for sleep, no laundry, a clean house, someone else to cook dinner. They call your name constantly, require undivided attention 95% of the day. Showers are a luxury and going pee is actually a conference meeting. Grocery shopping is a circus and middle of the mall meltdowns are an actual fear. Infant poop-tastrophe is real and always occurs at the most inopportune times. Money is tight. They need diapers. Then all of a sudden they no longer need diapers, so you think you're going to have extra money, but it finds a way to be spent somewhere else that is needed with nothing necessarily considered an extra. The car is a necessity, but tries to die regularly. And each check dwindles away, and that coffee from Starbucks that someone advises you to give up because it would save you cash is actually like a medical need that someone has given to you that provides some sanity and idea of normalcy. So shut up, lady that told me not to buy it because I need to save some money. Getting your hair colored and cut and nails did is a thing of the past. YouTubing how-tos on DIY haircuts and car repairs is a regular occurrence. They grew 5 inches in one summer. And will there be funds to clothe them all now? Since the one who went through puberty this summer needed 3 different sizes in shoes and 3 different sizes in pants. These are real fears. These are real things. This is part of the real insanity. And as chaotic as it was, it's like you miss it. And I didn't know what to do with myself because it was all I knew. There is literally, I do not care what anyone says, There is literally zero, none, nada, no way to prepare to be a parent. You can read every book. You could have your funds all in order. You can be wealthy and have the cars and the house and the clothes and the proper schools and all that. But I don't care who you are. Nothing prepares you for that day when you're in the middle of Target and your infant, who's so cute and dressed so adorably, shits up his back all over the place. You grab the diaper bag, you look in the diaper bag, you've forgotten wipes or you've forgotten the change of clothes and you don't know what you're doing. Sure, you're in Target, but spending some extra money on an outfit and diapers and wipes means possibly not being able to afford the formula that you need or the snacks that you need or maybe that coffee that you need on the way home just to make it through the day. Nothing prepares you for the day when your daughter or your son comes home and says they found someone that they're interested in, and now a portion of them is given away to somebody else. Nothing prepares you for the day when you get the call from the doctor that says your son has type 1 diabetes and his life will change, and if you don't take care of it, he might die. There is literally nothing that can prepare you for those types of things. There's nothing. I don't care how many books you read, how educated you are, how much money you've got, your social standing. There is literally nothing that can prepare you. There's nothing that can prepare you for catastrophic stuff, and there's nothing that can prepare you for the tiny little things that you just never done before. There's nothing you can do until you actually are in the midst of it. You're actually in the midst of this insanity. And so if you don't embrace it, you might crumble underneath it. You know, I've had 7 children. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've given birth to 7 kids. Not one of those children was quote unquote planned. I think with one of them, we might have said something to the effect of, I might get pregnant. That was the second one. And yet, lo and behold, I did. And then after that, it was just they came. And I could go into the details of how I, am super fertile and so is he. And we used methods that didn't work at all. We have 3 or 4 that were on contraceptives but still came anyhow. It was just the plan for us. And I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I would change nothing about my insanity. I absolutely love it. I have embraced it. Do I get upset sometimes? Absolutely. Do I crumble a little bit? Yeah. Do I worry? Should I? No, but I do. Do I fear? Yeah. But the thing is I have these beautiful people. I have this wonderful family. And we made a choice 25 years ago when we got together and said that we were going to do this. And we are doing everything we can to make sure we stick to that promise. It's been hard. I thought for sure many times, oh, this is it. I am done. I am over this. But I made a promise. I said that this is what I was going to do. So I grab back that insanity and say, you're mine. And I take it on and we press on. And personally, I look at my kids and I'm like, damn, not only are they good looking kids, but they are amazing children. And they say things like they want more, which they're batshit crazy for saying that. But anybody who's in a big family knows it is chaos. You have to share everything. There's limits on everything. There's not extra food and snacks and treats and vacations and movies and all these extras. There's none of that. That doesn't happen here. But they still love it. They still say things like, oh, when we move out, Mom, we're just still coming over for dinner. And that makes me shine. Because I know then these people that we've created, despite the insanity, love it and have embraced it and are happy and are growing and are shining. Now, my children are getting to the ages of where, I have one out of the house. I have, how many do I have? I have 4 more that are adults, really. One's graduating from high school in 2020. And then I have 2 more that, have a few more years. But for the most part, my kids are old. I can take naps whenever I want now. That's weird. A lot of the insanity now for me is more emotional. When I see that my kids are dating or going out or have jobs, or one of them graduated from college earlier this year. And there is some great joy, but there's also some great fear. When you're a parent, you look back on the things that you did and you're like, dear God, please do not do what I did. But you can't prevent some of that stuff. You have to allow them to make these choices and these decisions. And you have to say things like, you do what you're supposed to do. Do what you want to do. I cannot tell you what to do anymore. You're an adult. I gave you all the tools you need. If it was me, maybe I'd do this, but you have to do what you know. You have to do what's best for you. And so that's kind of a terrifying thing. And maybe I'm a control freak, so it means relieving and releasing this control that I had, or the ability to, kind of guide them and maneuver them a little bit. I can't do that anymore. And so especially when they're still at home and you see that they're making these big moves and big decisions, that insanity is very different than it was when they were young. That's why I say it doesn't get easier, it gets different. And so, I have concerns when they're out till 2:00 in the morning. And I have concerns when, they've got they're dating different people, and what's happening and where are they at, and are they okay, and are they safe, and how is their heart? Is their heart hurting? I worry about things. You hear about depression and suicide with kids, and I worry about those things. What can I do to make sure that these aren't things that they're struggling with? And the only thing that I've been able to do is embrace the insanity, make sure that I am doing everything I can to be open, to make sure that they know they can communicate with me, and make sure that they know they are loved regardless of what they do. So each step of their life has presented a different insanity for me. Because whether I like it or not, their life and my life and our lives all together, there's a certain type of chaos that happens with every parent. I don't care who you are. It happens with everyone. And so you have to find a way to embrace it. And for me, it was just like, okay, this is it. This is coming on. Let's take it on and let's do it. Because what am I going to do? Wallow in self-pity? No, I can't do that. It's not my character. It's not going to help anything. Certainly not going to change anything. So go ahead and embrace it. Man, laugh hard. Laugh at the ridiculousness. When you're in that Target and they shit up their back, laugh at that. Find the rainbow. Find the humor. Two of my daughters were in car accidents, and you get that call, that panic, that fear, that insanity of, dear God, is she okay? And you hear her voice and you hear her hysteria, and you get there and you pull up and she's okay. And you cry and you hug her and you hold her and you bring her home. And then a week later, she says, oh my gosh, Mom, why did I crash the car? I don't have a car. You laugh. And then you tell her, oh, sister, embrace the insanity. I hope I didn't scare anybody off. There is insanity in parenting. And people will try and tell you, oh, you read this book, or you go through this class, you take this counseling, you get this therapy, and if you do this, that'll make things easier. No, it doesn't prepare you for absolutely everything. It may give you some general idea, and I'm not saying don't do those things. But what I'm saying is, please do not believe that it means that you will never experience chaos or insanity, or that you're going to be 100% prepared for everything, because that is humanly impossible. You have no idea what's going to happen from moment to moment. So embrace it, take it as it comes, and realize it's not necessarily going to get easier. It's just going to get different. Part of the purpose of creating this podcast was feeling as though I finally had a voice. And the voice, I'm sure, was always there. I just, really didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to do with it. I didn't think I had permission, which is weird, but I didn't think I had permission to do anything with it. A lot of the things that I've discussed throughout this season, I know that there are some that have felt as though, well, I already know these things, especially younger generations. But I think what's important to understand is that my generation and before me were coming to an understanding now, because we didn't have access to or understanding of, or were told this is how normal is. And we're finding out, that's not really what it's all about anymore. In fact, maybe never was. And so the point of this podcast was to get my voice out there in the hopes that someone else would say, God, I feel like that. I'm not alone. Because I know that I've felt like that before. I felt in the middle of this chaos and this insanity and the changes that are going on in the world around us, and not knowing if I was totally alone in my confusion. And so I hope that someone along the way has felt like they're not alone, because you aren't. Here we are trying to figure it out all together. And I just want to thank everybody once again for listening to That's Not Proper Season 1. And we're going to be heading up Season 2 here some point in January. I'm thinking around the middle of January. But in the meantime, please continue to follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And remember, I've got that giveaway coming up on Instagram. I'm going to be putting it up here within the next week, and I'm going to be giving away a surprise gift of some really fabulously inappropriate, not proper socks. And I would love for people to be able to get in on that. So go ahead and go to Instagram. That's Not Proper. Pay attention because that's going to be going up soon. And once again, thank you very much, listeners, for hearing me out for the first season of That's Not Proper.